Welcome back, everybody. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Aaron.
This is our show, Cryptocosm, where I talk about the astrological forecasts.
And I bring you your daily crypto news.
So lay it on me, Aaron. What is going on?
Let's start it off with the great firewall
The
of
great
China.
firewall of China.
People and their walls these days, they got a problem. They're just going to build a wall around it, and that's just going to
isolate myself from the world. That's the answer.
Build a wall.
the
Build a wall.
answer.
You got a problem, build a wall. The great firewall of China. So first it was the ICOs. Then they tried to restrict the exchanges, which only slowed things down. So what is there left to do?
Ban it all!
And build a wall. So they're putting a firewall throughout the entire area of China. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited about this, believe it or not. I know it sounds bad. I know it does. It's ridiculous. But this is really going to put Bitcoin's true power to the test.
Absolutely.
To the test. We're gonna see if it really holds up to its name, and it's government proof. It's completely decentralized, and we're gonna really see what happens here.
Right. It's like Rocky. Like, you got nothing left. You got nothing left. Bitcoin. You're out of the game. You're out. It's like we're gonna, putting it through the ringer, putting it through the test. Find out if it can make it or not.
Bring it on, Apollo. Bring it on. So I can't wait to see what happens. Good. Let's black it out. All right, go. Let's see what happens. It's going to be kind of setting an example and paving the way. Are they going to be able to do this? It's kind of like, them banning the gold back in 1933.
Yeah.
So this is what it's come to. Let's just black it all out. Well, game on, everybody. I think everybody's going to have their eyes on China for quite some time and see how this plays out. And just think, hopefully when it all comes tumbling down and they say, okay, we give up, how many individuals are going to be jumping into cryptocurrency at that time?
Right.
That's also something that I'm pretty excited about and very hopeful for. I really think that it's going to be able to live up to its name, live up to the decentralization, and put the power in the people's hands. And that's really what they don't want. That's really what they don't want.
But it's what we want. The power is in the people. And that's been something that we've been kind of going back and forth with, for a very long time, highlighted, I think, in the 60s. It's like, it's not a war on drugs, it's a war on personal freedom. It's not a war on it's just like, it's about self, our own sovereign beings of things, and not being oppressed or kind of guided by somebody else's version of what reality is or what they think reality is. It's like, no, we're creating our own. And in order that to happen, we have to kind of have our own freedom with the way that we choose to trade and spend our goods. Trade goods.
That's absolutely right.
So what does this mean for Binance? Now, I've got a lot of coins wrapped up in Binance, as I'm sure a lot of you do, as I know you do as well. What is going on here?
Well, I have since removed all my coins from Binance and put them away in my own safe little haven.
Smart.
As we recommend all of you guys do. Because you know what? We don't know what's going to happen just yet. It's still up in the air. There's all this talk. Everybody's freaking out, and how is this really going to play out? Well, it's not final yet.
Right.
So over the next few days, maybe a week or two, we're really going to be keeping an eye on the up-to-date and seeing what's really going to go on here.
Yeah, we just recently put out a video last night, and we put fudding retracement, and honestly, we've gotten a lot of flack online about it by people thinking that we're feeding into the negativity. If you've watched the show, obviously we're the most upbeat, enthusiastic, positive people about this change of cryptocurrency.
Bullish all the way.
But nonetheless, it's interesting because it's simply what it is. This is what's happening right now. These are times where for us to obtain these dreams, we're exploring the idea of transforming them and seeing what we can do and how we can make them a reality. It's like, it was only, a couple hundred years ago, if a woman knew math, you could burn her at the stake for being a witch. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I wish I had a time machine.
1917, women are being arrested for marching on the front gates of Washington. 2017, 2018, now again, so much has changed over time. So it's like, again, when we're seeing some of these rules come up right now, I'm not really scared about it. It doesn't bother me. Obviously, it doesn't bother this guy. He's laughing about it. But it's like, yeah, they're going to try to oppress. They're going to try to, clench down or clamp down on some of these ideas. But it's like, there's too much motion. It's like certain lakes here in Michigan will freeze during these hard winters, but certain rivers, the current is so strong, they're never going to freeze over. And as much, as cold as it gets, as much as that ice wants to, or that cold, bitter cold wants to solidify that water, the current is just too strong. So it's like we, the people, are the current. Yeah. This currency is the water, and we're going to move it forward here, and we're not going to let, these rules and regulations of times that are outdated thinking, again, sun in Aquarius, Mercury and Mars, Mercury and Venus all in Aquarius is like the community, the future. We're thinking about the future, and the future is coming. We're here. We're in the midst of it. We're moving forward, whether they want to clamp down on us or not.
It's interesting. A close friend of mine earlier today just asked me, "Well, Aaron, how do you believe so much in this technology?" Well, you know what? I've spent the time. I've done my research down to the coding, what blockchain actually is. And it's one of those things that once it's built, you can't put it back in the box.
Right.
It's just outgrown its cage and you can't contain it, which is very exciting to me.
The best.
And I just want to relate this maybe to something that more of you guys can relate to. Look at the issues that we have with pirating software, copying movies, music,
destroying the industries. It hurt the industry so bad that Lars from Metallica, you know what I mean?
And
anyway.
It was all built on peer-to-peer exchange.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at with money, is peer-to-peer exchange.
Right. It's going to destroy stuff. And just the same as what we're talking about Lars from Metallica, what was it? It was Napster.
The original gangster.
The original gangster, OG, baby. That's what it's just like. That's basically these banks and all these people trying to squash this is basically Lars. We got this crying drummer here. Dude, come on. You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
And how many times have they tried to bring down Pirate Bay? About 40 times now. They take one down and 3 more pop up, 7 more pop up. It's just like
PirateBay.com's gone. PirateBay.uo, PirateBay.ci, PirateBay. Whatever.
You cut one head off and 3 grow in its place. And that's really what we're dealing with decentralization. And you know what? That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You know what, China? Game on. I can't wait to see how this plays out. Good luck to everybody over there.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be fascinating. And
look at this guy.
Also, I love it. I really do. It excites me.
Game on, China.
Come on.
Let's
bring it on. Speaking of transformation also and bringing these dreams into reality, an article was posted on Cointelegraph earlier that I had read over, and Coinbase's developers are looking at bringing back SegWit 2.
What is
SegWit 2, back just a few months ago, they were going to release SegWit 2 onto the Bitcoin blockchain.
Okay.
So what this did, so we have the blockchain, we have block on top of block on top of block on top of block. We've gone over this. Well, those blocks are 1 megabyte in size. So that's about, for those of you that aren't familiar with those terms, about a third of a song on your phone or your iDevice.
A third of the song.
A third of the song.
Okay.
That would be 1 block. Well, they're looking at doubling that, which is going to double the amount of transactions that can happen and speed up the process, and also remove some of the information within that block, without getting too technical, to fit more transactions in the side of this box. So we're looking at 2 to 3 times speed increase.
Now, what about transaction fees? Are they going up as well?
Well, if we're getting faster speed, we're going to get lower fees.
All right.
So we're going to be able to do more. So we're becoming more efficient. But this is also one of the issues that was leading up into one of the gates of getting over into the Lightning Network.
There's a lot of question marks comes up when I hear about the
Lightning Network. Absolutely. So we think about the congestion that we're having on the Bitcoin network.
A lot.
Well, all the transactions...
It's like it's got the flu that's going around here. My goodness. You can't breathe.
All the transactions are happening on the network.
Okay.
So what can we do to speed that up? Well, we take the transactions off of the network.
But if you're taking them off, how are they still going through the blockchain? How are they still being accounted for? How are they...
They're being recorded in these kind of off-channel pipelines.
All right.
To break it down simple, we're going to go more into depth and once we get into different kinds of
simple
networks.
form.
The simple form is we're getting these pipelines that are set up within the Lightning Network itself.
Okay.
And all these transactions can go back and forth, and we get these little tally marks that are recorded. Well, you're up to 3 and I'm up to 2. We make another transaction. Well, now you're at 5 and now I'm at 1. And once we close out that pipeline,
Okay.
all those transactions get recorded on the blockchain at that point in time.
So it's not an instantaneous block now. So it's saying that we're all fitting into this tube, and then once this tube is full, then it goes bloop and dumps it.
So we could make 100 or 200 or 300 transactions possibly, and whatever the end result is what we're taking and putting on the blockchain.
Okay.
So we're kind of taking some of the load off of the actual main network. And that's going to be exciting to see how that plays out with these different protocols that they're having. And that's going to be another interesting, but that's going to require a little bit more of a deep dive to kind of get into the specifics of that.
Copy that.
We're looking forward to that as well. Is Bitcoin enough? Can Bitcoin stay on top? Is it good enough? That's the question. That's everybody's question.
That's everybody's question right now. It's Wednesday right now, so we've just experienced this third quarter square of the moon leading up to this eclipse here on the 15th, which is next Thursday. So we're just under a week away, or just over a week away from this eclipse here. We have, on Saturday, we've got Venus moving into Neptune, so it's like our ball of money is moving into our sign of dreams, unconsciousness, and that really excites me. It's like there's a lot, at this to me, this quarter square, or this third quarter square was kind of this last compression, this bit of tension that we're feeling before we roll into this eclipse next week, which is exciting, but at the same time, I feel like it's been putting a lot of us, not only this like fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's going on, but it's like, there's only 3% of us right now are invested in cryptocurrency, 3% of the world's population. That means 97% of the people don't believe this is a real reality yet, where you and I, we do. So it's like we are willing to kind of step out on this leading edge here for our own future. We're making these moves, and we're in a higher risk pool right now, because in the end, a couple years down the road, when everybody else finally gets into it, our reward is going to be greater because we were one of the first into it. Now, talk about the people back in 2011 that were, when it was $11 per coin and have held on for this long and this long and this long. Now we're like, people are freaking out. They're like, I've been invested for 2 months and I haven't tripled my funds yet. What is going on? This is not the real thing. It's like, whoa, slow down. Not only that, but again, it's like, this takes time. It's going to take time to transition out of the analog world. Even after CDs or after MP3s became the standard, we're looking at like the cars, vehicles. You still had CD players or tape cassettes like way after. And they were kind of like done for, you know what I mean? I remember my car had a cassette and CD, my last one, not this one, but it was like a cassette and CD, and I was like, what? This is made in like the 2000s, later 2000s, and it still had a cassette player. It's like, we're still holding on to some of those old analog ideas, and we're gonna transition to this like, we don't need a CD player at all, even in our computers. Like look at Apple's now. They took out the analog headphone jack. Like we don't need it. We don't.
Absolutely.
And people lost their minds. It's because they already knew that we're moving into the future where these cords are not necessary. Apple was ahead of the curve. And they had to kind of supplement and go back down. And that, we're seeing that same kind of thing happening now. We're ahead of the curve, friends. You and I, we're ahead of the curve. We are the 3% that is taking that leap, that trust of faith into moving into this new gray territory. Okay, it's going to take time. It's going to be hard for a little bit while we see these people that have power over us creating laws that are affecting us. That's hard as we're seeing these kind of come up now. Like, if you would have started Coinbase earlier last year, it was almost simple. Like now to get on Coinbase, it's more difficult, and
you need to give them a blood sample and maybe a little piece of your DNA.
Right? Yeah, firstborn child.
Down as a deposit. But those rules and regulations are important. I think earlier you mentioned in a different show, every dollar is a vote.
Absolutely.
And we're putting our money where our mouth is. We definitely believe in these products and believe in them so much we need to bring some of them over to China. That's right, Substratum. Get over to China. You're kind of needed. So, but as these dreams transform into reality, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on these things and see how they're moving.
Now, when you say that, that's actually very interesting. I've got a couple friends that actually work between here, well, San Francisco and China. One of them works in the IT tech industry. The other works as like she does design for candy. Okay, so she spends half of her time in Michigan, half of her time in California, or in China making candy. And she says it's so hard to talk to folks there because again, their internet is not like our internet. They lost net neutrality. They never had net neutrality. Okay, they didn't have this free open web.
Their internet's probably like my kids'
it's like
Kindle
Oregon
Fire,
Trail,
where
right?
It's all locked down and you got like 3 things to choose from.
Right, it's like Oregon Trail, and we're playing GTA 5 over here with a rocket ship. Like, we're next level, and they're so limited based on what their government allows them to know. And it's just like we saw that last November when we lost our own net neutrality. That's why we both are invested in companies like Substratum. We believe wholeheartedly in that to diversify it, but it's like, we cannot allow, again, it's just like this limited perspective, of reality. And it's just like, well, what happens if the Chinese, the people or North Koreans were to get their hands on a completely free internet? What happens if the people, we the people, get our hands on a completely free currency that's not being... There's a lot of people that frightens.
It also makes me wonder, also how free our internet is. And what would it look like on something like Substratum when we take away some of these filters that we may or may not know are there?
Sure. I mean, we even like web browsers, Bing, Google, things like that. It's like you're paid to be up top.
Oh yeah.
And we also know that there's like this tricky world of advertisement. You can pay to promote a positive thing, or you can pay to promote something that's making somebody else's thing not look as good as yours, which is a very interesting concept. It's like you're paying to badmouth somebody else, but saying like this product isn't as good as this, so really it makes mine shine and look better.
Like politics.
Right. So it's like, Facebook did that recently as well. We found out the hard way we cannot promote any of our, it's like even though we're not selling anything here, we're giving away information, and it's up to you if you choose to find this information valuable or not. But we're going to promote the show on Facebook, and Facebook put the kibosh on us.
That was horrible.
Right. And it was just like, no.
Thanks a lot, Facebook.
Right. So it's like, even though you have news, information, you spent years studying this information to bring it forward to people, and you're just simply giving it away instead of sitting here typing, which I've done before. I had another page which was all just typing.
It really
and,
surprises
oh my God.
me. I mean, you'd figure a company like that would want your money, no matter what it is. Okay, so there's something other than that that's bigger than what it seems. Personally, that's totally 100% biased.
And
the
funny thing is, I actually was screen grabbing every time I had seen, because they were saying like, oh, we're going to block every company that's promoting any crypto anything. We're just going to block all of these things by the bots. Okay, I tried to appeal it and still kind of got, but I started screen grabbing every single time that it was like this crypto thing. So it's like, again, these regulations are coming up, and guys like us, sure, we're being affected by it, but they're trying to do it so that Facebook isn't being clouded with BS scam, a bunch of false ICOs, spend your money on this. So it's like we're taking the hit so that other people don't take the hit on those other ends.
Thanks, Facebook. We're not 6 years old. We could make our own decisions. Thank you very much.
Well, but that's literally what's happening with the times right now. It's like we don't, we're powerless to this. We have to appeal a decision, even though again we're not selling something. So now it's like with Binance, like, what do you mean we can't make trades? This is the best time to buy in. I need to make money moves. I want to make these trades over. I want to, what we just Ethos just doubled in a day. It went from $2.42 up to $4 overnight. We've seen there's a bit of happening right now, but
And I want to correct something that we had mentioned, that pull your money out of Binance. Yes, store your coins off of Binance. And one of the things you guys definitely want to take notice of is the less moves you make with your coins, because you're going to get tipped here, you're going to get tipped here, you're going to be paying these fees and these transaction charges. Take some time to figure out the moves you want to make, and then make them, and make them quick. Move your coins to Binance, make your trades, pull them off. It's not saying, no, don't use Binance by any means, because it's one of our personal favorite platforms. It's just that the stability of it is kind of up in the air. So we want to make sure that we give the advice that we'd want to be taking for ourselves, keeping in mind we're not financial advisors and never risk more than you're willing to lose. But we want to have that information available to you. And we want you guys to have those safe decisions.
Yeah, safety is important. Safety is extremely important. This is still, again, as us being 3%, we're the early investors. The early bird gets the worm. That is the risk to the reward that we are all taking on being in this market right now. And we're hoping that once the rest of the world catches on, that once all of these regulations fall into place, that I know a couple of folks here have gotten their 1099 forms from Coinbase. Are freaking out.
Are you going to pay your taxes this year?
I know some other friends that have been getting charged through Chase Bank. Chase Bank is actually charging people as if it was, considering it to be like a loan, as if there was a cash advance. So even though they were just buying from their account, secured bank account, into directly, which is directly tied, okay, into Binance or Coinbase, they're being charged as if it was not a wire transfer, but an advance, a cash
all
advance.
The big ones are trying to dip into to get their piece of the pie, and that's unfortunately sad. But I think they're really fighting the fight and trying to keep some of the individuals scared of going into that field.
Absolutely,
and that's what we're seeing. And right now, the technology is not 100%, and that's why only 3% of the population, not 3 people, only 3%,
3 of us.
Just 3. We are 2 of them.
75% right here.
The only 3% of the individuals are using it. We're going to see a lot of strides in technology this year, and we're going to have some
huge moves,
great reviews
huge
on some programs that are going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to trading and storing cryptocurrency. And we're only months away from some of those things, and we could not be happier. So a lot more of that to come.
Yeah, and absolutely. And right now, again, this is a time for us to not be, we're looking for news, we're looking for the green light to show up on our accounts that we're in the green. Okay, this is a time right now to go inside yourself and really look at yourself and say, do you need the news to report back to you that this is going to be a good investment? Do you need to see the green coming to know that this was a good investment, or can you just have faith in yourself? Can you trust in yourself that you made the right decision and that things are going to work out? Or maybe they won't work out. But either way, you made the right decision because that's a decision you made for yourself.
Well, that's one of the things too, is people hop on only when the getting's good.
Right.
When you want to make the money, you want to hop on when it's not
uncertain.
Good. That's the thing. I mean, if you're watching these cycles go up and down, now is the time to buy.
It's time to make money moves. Absolutely. Next Thursday, we got this eclipse coming. And I really foresee a lot of positivity, things moving forward, a lot of going into the green on the horizon here.
We had the bounce back on Bitcoin. We hit that 78.6% retracement. On the dot, it got swallowed up whole. I mean, it was just beautiful to see that little candlestick go whoop and grow this little tail, and it was fantastic. I know that doesn't mean a whole lot to a lot of you guys watching, but once it hit down to that 78.6% retracement, it just got bought right up, and that's exactly the bounce that we needed to see at exactly the right time. And just now, they're all setting up for hopefully what will be pattern reversals, and we're going to be looking at a little closer here in the next few days. And Litecoin, I think, is the first one. It's at the head of that pattern reversal out of the big 3.
I got faith in Litecoin.
We got the eyes on the charts, and that's why I haven't bought back in just yet. We believe that it's the bottom, but we're kind of holding off just to make sure we break out of this trend that we've been going in this downward bearish market here towards the bottom and back upwards from this consolidation.
Yeah, I mean, after tomorrow, the moon moves into, it's right now, it's up there with Jupiter and Scorpio, and it moves into Sagittarius. It's going to conjunct Mars. It's going to square Neptune. To me, that's like the end of it. Once we conjunct Neptune and conjunct Mars, square Neptune, it's just like, again, it's like we're squaring our dreams. Can our dreams come true? Can our dreams become a reality? They can once you jump through these hoops and transform your vision of what that dream is. It's just like to get your dream into reality, you have to transform it. Okay? It's just like an idea coming into fruition. It needs to be communicated through tongue in cheek, or it's like explaining to somebody, you want a painting. This is the way you want it painted, but you don't have the artistic way to do it. So it's like,
don't just think about it, talk about it, move around, jump up and down, do anything to get it from up here to out here.
it's time. Coming into fruition. It's time.
It is time.
The true wisdom card.
Let's bring it on.
What do we got for today? What do we have? Here we go.
All right.
No cutting today.
No cutting?
You go
Well,
ahead.
then I'm taking the top card because that's just how it's been going. I knew who I was. Nope, we've done that one already.
Uh-oh.
Ah, you're fired. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Thank you, A.A. Milne.
Read it one more time because it's so true.
You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. That's because you guys...
3%.
That's right. You took the words right out of my mouth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining us on another episode of
Cryptocosm.